Pantry Studio production.
The following may contain strong language and deals with adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see. And I won't have your name to call. 'Cause I will be the last to fall.
With over 24% of the 1.9 billion square acres in America alone, the mountains that so many people call home are also host to some of the most incredible mysteries in the world. The missing, the murdered, strange creatures, unexplained lights, and sightings of unidentified objects. These stories may be strange, they may be sad, they may be odd, but they are mysterious. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. And now, live from the Pantry Studio, broadcast to all time zones around the world, with listeners of the podcast in the United States, Canada, Germany, Norway, India, the United Kingdom, and more. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. Now, your host, Chris Sloan.
I hope that you're doing well. Thanks a lot for joining us for another episode of The Gatherings, brought to you by, of course, the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings, I should say. I hope that your week has been decent, and I hope that your weekend is even better. Most of us have a 3-day weekend with, Memorial Day coming up, and let's remember what Memorial Day is about. It's not about the cookouts. It's not about, the trips to the lake and things like that. It's about remembering those who are no longer with us, especially those who served in uniform and never made it out of that uniform. That's a big deal. So let's remember all of those that we've lost along the way and hope that they are at peace. And for those of us here, let's always remember that every life is worth remembering and celebrating. So we've got a lot of stuff that we've been working on for the last week or so, including the new website. A lot of you have checked that out, I hope. It is at themountainmysteriespodcast.com. I think if you just throw that up there in Google, we've been busting Google and Bing and all these things wide open with it. And we've gotten a lot of hits from this, from places all over the world. It's growing. I think we actually launched it Monday. And as of Wednesday, we kind of went in and revamped the shop because this way it's not going to take, if you order something today, which is at May 27th, you'll have it before Christmas, which is always a good thing, especially if you order some of the beachwear stuff that Arrow got on there and found this stuff. And I was like, literally now you can do, if you wanted to, a whole outfit and the Mountain Mysteries, right down to your socks. So I'm not kidding you. It's crazy. But there's a lot of cool stuff on there, and I think it's got a good price on it. It's not crazy. Great gift ideas, stuff like that. But anyways, you can check that out at the Mountain Mysteries Podcast.com. It's all on there. Matter of fact, here in a few minutes, I'm going to share the screen and go in and show you some stuff. You can also listen to some of the podcast if you do not have an Apple phone or you do not have a smartphone. You can listen to it now on the computer too. You can listen to it right there on the Mountain Mysteries Podcast.com, which I think that's pretty cool. Something else that, the blurs is going to stay strictly for Patreon. They're the 5 to 7 minute little short stories, and sometimes they're a little 10, but they are one of those things where you can actually get on there and talk about a cheap thrill. For as little as $3 a month, you get access to the blurs, early access to the episodes, and all that other stuff too. So it really is pretty cool. And again, that's the Mountain Mysteries Podcast.com. And I think just about everybody's got access to the internet now. So episodes 10 and 11 are out there running full throttle. We've had a ton of downloads on them. It's almost already surpassed one of the bigger ones right before it, which was the Mountain Mystery of the Watcher at 657 Boulevard. That was a big one. These are paranormal stories in a way to speak. We've got some coming up that are about missing people, mysterious deaths, and things like that of people nearby. We actually had, and you can contact us on the website as well, which I'm just going to throw that up there for a few seconds and let you guys write that down. If anybody that wants to, there we go. Boom. The Mountain Mysteries Podcast.com. But you can contact us through that too if you've got a blur. Now, the only condition of a blur, do you have to be a Patreon person to submit one? Absolutely not. No, you can be anybody, anywhere and submit it as long as it's in English, because that's the only thing I can read. But we'd like it to be something that actually happened to you. And am I going to go in and investigate whether or not it happened? Hell no. But we had one from one of our subscribers and listeners, and it was a really good story. She encountered a haunted house, and I think that aired last Sunday. It's called The Spooky House, and it was a lot of fun for me to produce, but it also kind of gave you chills. And just be mindful that when you submit these stories to us, it needs to be in either Word, Microsoft Word format, or PDF. If it's Notepad, I don't care. That's fine, as long as I can translate it and read it. Will it be read verbatim? Not necessarily. I may do some changes here and there for the flow of the reading for the story and things like that, but it's going to be at heart your story, and I will give you credit unless you submit it anonymously, or if you ask me to remain anonymous. That's perfectly fine too. I don't mind that. But they are a lot of fun, and it's a great way to share your experiences with a lot of other people. I was checking analytics today, as a matter of fact, not just on the podcast, but the website too. Website's beginning to get a few more hits, a lot more hits, which I'm grateful for. The podcast, it's getting a little bigger every day. Australia, gosh, I wish I'd wrote that down. But there were some new places outside of Australia. And of course, you knew about Germany and UK and all that. But yeah, not just here in America, but Canada and other places, people are starting to listen. Excuse me. And it's really a cool thing, because I know these stories are getting out there. And that's the big thing that I wanted, was for them to get out there. Also, coming up soon, you're going to see some custom shirt designs. And we've got one that we've pretty much completed today. It had... When I first saw it, I thought, what the hell? That's just creepy. But on the front of it, it's going to have, it's going to start at the top, written in red crayon. And you guys are going to know, I'm going to get back on here and chat real quick. But you guys are going to know where this is going. It says, "Miss me?" with a question mark in red crayon. Then right under it, it's got a picture or an artist rendition of Annabelle holding this. Hang on, let me raise it up. Turn it to the side. Well, wrong side. There you go. Anyways, it's got its hand around this microphone, which really made me leery about walking back into this studio tonight. Anybody that knows the story of Annabelle, there are some things you don't test, tempt, or tease. 3 things: test, tempt, tease. You don't do that with anything of a spiritual nature. And on the back, of course, it'll say "Stay Mysterious." And at the very bottom of the shirt, it'll say "The Mountain Mysteries." But that's one of the new custom designs that we've got coming. This thing is, I would say I'm excited about it, but really what I'm wanting to do is get the word out there more and more. And yes, it does raise money to keep us going with the podcast. Bills are a little more expensive now with it than they were, but that's okay. It's thanks to our Patreon subscribers. You guys are helping with that more than you possibly know. So yeah, that's one of the designs. The other one is going to be 657 Boulevard. An actual picture of the house that my daughter is sketching using an iPad and stuff like that. And it's creepy times 10. I'll show you a picture of it when she gets it done, but it's just, you see it and you're like, ugh. And we're also going to do some, which on the front it's going to have our full logo, the Mountain Mysteries, and on the back it's going to be, you guys have seen those concert tour shirts, right? You know, like John Bon Jovi, Van Halen, and whoever else had. You know, I'm sure there's all kinds of them, but it's got like the concert dates and the tour promotion or the tour dates and where they were at on this date and et cetera, et cetera. We're going to do something very similar. It'll say like episode 1, tragedy at Paintsville Lake, or that one I may call for April. And anyways, we're going to go right down the list on 2 sides with the episodes, and on the bottom it's going to have the last episode for this first season, and it'll say stay mysterious. So that's going to be available too. So, you know, if you guys would be interested in supporting us with that stuff, I'd really appreciate that too. And tell your friends about the website too. That's where the shop is at. As a matter of fact, I just might want to make sure that I don't lose you, because what I'm getting ready to do, there we go. Okay, so let me get back here. What we're going to do right now is a share screen, okay? Okay, yeah, well, that's, there we go. Share the Mountain Mysteries podcast. Okay, so I'm assuming that you guys can see this right now. As you can see, my daughter and son-in-law built this thing in the course of a day. It's crazy, right? Of course, there you see the real Annabelle doll with Lorraine holding it. You see that you can listen to the latest episodes, and these will drop on the website Fridays as well. You can either listen to Spotify or iTunes. iTunes is like Apple. Okay, well, it's not like it is. Down here, you got join us on Discord. We've got a Discord server, and I'd love to see a lot of people making use out of that, because either Arrow or Allie or myself, we will respond to that. Then we have shirts and apparel, and that's where you can go to. Actually, that is the wrong ones. I'm sorry. We need to fix that link. But what we can do is go up here. You see this little round, I guess I call it a navigation menu. Okay, so we can go over here to shop, and you can go down to shop and you see clothes, right? Or main logo. Main logo is the conventional shirts and stuff like that you see. Okay, and the new bottles are just wicked. You can get the sweatpants, the bathing suits, and the swim gear and stuff like that. Okay, you want to load more? This is what Arrow has been busy doing this week. Told you, you can even get socks, notebooks. These are like the huge spiral notebooks, the phone cases, and all of that stuff too. And, you know, if you want our new premium line, which is coming up, that's the ones that's got Stay Mysterious on the back. For example, I'm just showing you the pillow there. Okay, and then you flip the pillow over, and there it is, Stay Mysterious. I know that looks like a Z. It's not. Okay, that's just the way that the font writing goes. But anyways, that kind of gives you guys an idea of where that's at. And this was the other big thing. They are all currently loaded up here now. So what I'm going to do is go back here to the menu, and I'm going to go down to podcast. Check this out, and boom. Here's all of the episodes that we've got going on right now. And you can actually start with load more. Yes, there we go. So you see we've got introducing the Mountain Mysteries. You know what that was? That was just that little 3-minute jump in that we said, hey, here's what we're about. And that thing actually dropped January 21st. Now, of course, the first episode, which was April Pennington, Tragedy at Paintsville Lake, was released March 5th. This was just the full interviews between Sharon and Tim and I, myself. Then we had the Ghost of 22 Mine Road and all that. And when you hit the player, I'm just going to start up here with April's. Okay. That's the way it looks. It's really easy to read. Show notes are down there, including any links that you'd like to check out. But, you know, when I first said, let's do orange and black, my daughter and my son-in-law and the very few other people that knew about this said, oh, well, that's a Harley Davidson thing. No, it's not a Harley Davidson thing. This is something that I wanted it to be very easy for people to navigate, very user-friendly, because honestly, nothing in this world pisses me off more than when I go to a website, and if I'm looking, let's say, for contact information, I cannot find that contact information. Or let's say I wanted to read an episode transcript. Let's say I wanted to say, okay, so what was this thing about? And you see that beautiful picture of my friend there, April. Let's say that I wanted to actually go in, and maybe I had a headache, or I didn't want to hear the sound. I just wanted to read about April. Boom. There you go. And that's pretty much the script that I went by. Okay, so we do have some of the episode transcripts, not all of them. And if you want to get back to the homepage, simply click Pantry Studio. Now, this right here is for our Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon subscriber, you simply on any page, simply click on that Patreon button. Okay. And then it gives you the thing that you can go in there and do that. If you want to follow us on Facebook, it's there. That's our YouTube. That's our Instagram. And of course, this is Apple Podcast. That's your little shopping cart bag up there. Yes, the shopping cart bags are absolutely free. Anyways, I'm going to X out of that and get back here to where we were at. So it's really a pretty easy thing to navigate. And that's what I wanted. More than that, I also wanted to be able to sit down and say, okay, I can make sense out of this. It's really easy for me to read. It's really easy for me to understand. Am I blind? No, I'm not blind. I do wear glasses most of the time, but regardless of that, I want it to be easy for people to see. Our prices on there, I think, are competitive with anybody anywhere else. And yes, we will be running sales because unlike the other place who set the prices and kept the lion's share, we set the prices. And Arrow will tell you, I said, I want enough of a markup to cover what we're doing and put a few bucks towards the podcasting thing and towards the video, towards the gatherings and towards the Mountain Mysteries podcast. Sharon said that she's been out all over the page checking out everything. Well, I appreciate that. And you guys, I hope that you do too. So I'm excited about the website. I really am. I listen to a lot of podcasts on my way when I'm, driving back and forth. And sometimes when I'm going, stretch out at night, I listen to them. I love podcasts like Dateline and, Real Crime all the time and stuff like that. And I do like some of the spooky podcasts too that are fictional, but they're still easy to listen to. They're kind of creepy at times, but that's okay. So what did I want with the Mountain Mysteries? What I wanted with the Mountain Mysteries was first and foremost for you guys to know the stories of these people, like April Pennington, like Dwayne Lovelace, Tim Stambo, Octavia Hatcher, which, by the way, that one's coming Friday. It drops at midnight tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the one. Yeah. It's called Buried Alive, The Mountain Mystery of Octavia Hatcher. Was she really buried alive? Well, listen in and find out and tell me what you think. Look, I'm always going to leave this up to you guys to decide. I try to present what I think are the best factual evidence available. Hey, Grace, it's always good to hear and see from you. And actually, Grace had messaged me, I think it was on our Facebook page, and said, hey, she had mentioned the what we called Impact, episode 5, Paintsville UFO CSX train incident. And Grace, you can correct me if I'm wrong about any of that. But I think she had mentioned Octavia Hatcher, and I said, oddly that you should mention that. As it goes, we're actually going to do one on them. And I think that this was right about the time that we said that we were going to release it. But yes, I loved it when Grace messaged us because I am all open for ideas. I'm all about ideas. Look, I'm the know all, end all, be all of nothing. Okay. I want to give you guys some things that you want to hear. Now, yeah, we're going to do some other things too. And this includes, there was a little girl. Well, I say little girl. She was a young lady. She was beautiful. And she went missing around the Cincinnati area around about 1997. She was 23 years old. Well, she wasn't missing for all that long. They found her floating in the river. But to this day, they have never recovered the car, and the police think that that's a pretty big deal. So we're going to be talking about that one in depth. And again, guess whose idea that was? It wasn't mine. That was Arrow's idea. He had done some research on it, studied, and he came to me one day. He said, would you be opposed to doing one out of Cincinnati? I'm not opposed to doing one out of anywhere. Just because we are the Mountain Mysteries. Let me tell you something. When it comes to a missing person, I don't give a rat's rear end where they're from. It can be Australia. It can be Germany. If it's a mysterious murder, I don't care. That the Mountain Mysteries is a name. It's a title. Okay. I do it because I'm proud to be from these mountains. I'm proud to live in these mountains, and I want to give something back to them. So yes, naturally, the first places I started and will continue to focus on also are right here, and that's in Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee. Believe it or not, Ohio does have a few mountains. But they don't have to have mountains for me to look there. If I had, you know, I would fly to the damned outback in Australia to capture an interview and gather information, if that's what it took. Thankfully, with technology today, we don't necessarily have to have that happen like that. So, but yeah, this young lady is coming up really soon because to this day, that was in '97, so that makes it what? I don't know. 97, 2007, 17, it's 20. What, 24, 25 years that they've not found this car. And the police think that that is critical. If they find the car, they can find the guy that killed this girl. So, guess what? I'm going to be all over that one like a pissing on a popsicle stick. Uh, this is about the people. From time to time, we do take a little break from doing those because they do get emotionally exhaustive, which wah, big deal. I'll get over it. It's okay. But when I separate and I go and I do something like the Mountain Mystery of the Watcher, there's still people affected by that. Even though some people call it an urban legend, some people say it was made up, which is hauntingly, pardon the pun, like the Amityville, where the Lutzes, it was said that George and Kathy Lutz made that whole thing up. When Lorraine Warren had said, not with an interview with me, but when she had made a public comment, she said, that was not fake. That was real. It changed my life forever. That was enough for me to believe her. I have had conversations with the lady in that interview that you guys have heard through episode 10 and 11. And I felt that she was very genuine. She was very sweet, very kind. And I wish I could have spoken with Ed, but he passed away about 3 years before that interview took place. I'm sorry to say. Good news is that they are together now again. And I do believe that those two were meant to be together. I really do, because despite what the naysayers say, despite what, people go on and jumble about, I think that they did help a lot of people. They brought some kind of peace of mind and maybe a glimpse of an understanding as to what was going on in this life after we leave this life, in the next life. And the Catholic Church actually came out and said this man had such a knowledge of religious demonology that he was the one many times that the church turned to said, okay, what do you think? We're talking about the church. They know this stuff. They know these things. But, for him to have that kind of accolade, that's pretty impressive. That's like getting the golden buzzer on AGT. That's a pretty big deal to me. So the episode tonight, it's called Buried Alive. Well, I say tonight, it's actually in the morning. It drops at 12:01, but it'll be available after that, both on the podcast sites, Apple, iTunes, of course, Amazon, Audible, Google, Stitcher, all of those. But this one is called Buried Alive, The Mountain Mystery of Octavia Hatcher. My daughter is actually working on another custom design for that shirt. And this one, her back is turned to Pikeville because a big part of that legend says that on the anniversary of her death, that her monument, which is a statue, her husband had Uncle Jim Thatcher, had a statue built in her honor that was exacting in specifications to her, to her size. And of course, they eventually had to put it up there on a huge pedestal because vandals kept breaking in and doing whatever them little punks do. So, but they broke into it and defaced it several times, so we're told. And then they had it put up. But anyways, my daughter went up there early this week, I think. And she said that she had a very sickening feeling. I don't know of any other way to say it than haunting feeling. She can tell you about that on another episode. Maybe we can have her come on and talk about that. But she said it was downright freaky and eerie. But, the statue was not turned backwards. She said the fence was kind of weird. And it's a little tiny road. She said it wasn't as big as a minute. But we have there's a lot of information in this episode tonight. And yeah, it is haunting. It is kind of a spooky episode. But anytime I start talking real quiet like this and do it, it tends to get a little creepy. So, and you got that's something else. People ask, why do you use music? Music becomes a character in anything you do. If I want to help you, or if I want to relay emotion, that's the first thing I'm going to go to because it really expresses emotion in a way that nothing else can. Brings up June 4th, which will be episode 13, Village of the Damned. We're doing something that I don't know of a lot of podcasts that do this. There may be, but I've not heard a lot. And primarily because your voice is always in mono, it's not stereo. In order to be stereo, you'd have to have a left and right channel. Most people speak with one voice, so it's a mono. But the Mountain Mysteries is going to stereo format. It's already ready to go. It's in the can. And it's not my voice that you hear the stereo in. It's the sound of the scores, the effects, and things like that. And I got to say, pardon my language, it's a ball buster. It is really pretty cool to hear that. And I went back, of course, I got the studio for that stuff, but I went back and I listened to the separation, left plus right and right and all that. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is crazy. What's it going to sound like in a pair of headphones? Well, according to somebody I let listen to the first 5 minutes of it in headphones, it blew their mind. They're like, oh my God, this is great. So, but yeah, we always look to do something a little different, something a little better if we can. It doesn't mean that it's a better podcast, but it just means it's something for our listeners, because most of the time when you listen to a podcast, my suspicion is you're either listening in earbuds, headphones, whatever, or you're in your car. And yeah, for our YouTube, excuse me, channel, we are going to start encoding audio in 5.1 digital surround sound. So you'll hear the center channel, left and right surround, and then the sub, for the bassy stuff in the music and but that's something that we've been headed towards, and this is all going in one direction. And we already told you what that was, going to video at some point. So that will be the Village of the Damned, which is based on Dudleytown, Connecticut. There was a Village of the Damned, and the first time I looked up trying to find any information on it, I saw a movie with Christopher Reeve. And I thought, okay, how about real life Village of the Damned? And there it was. And that was something that Ed and Lorraine looked into as well. Now, just because they say it's haunted, is it? Again, you decide. I will say I do believe in what, the things that Lorraine talked about on our particular interview. I think that these things are out there. I think that the fairy tale is real. God is real. The devil is real. And as Ed Warren said, our destinies as human beings depend upon who we elect to follow. I believe that. So, yeah, these things are coming up. Plus, like I said, hit us up on the website. Check that out. You can send us a message on there. They've got a contact me form at the very bottom of the page. And you can submit something that really happened to you that was just creepy. Or if you just want to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about doing an episode on this or that, or if it's a family member, that's fine. Like I said, as a rule, we do not contact people. That's also on the website too. It's under facts, which are on this particular thing. It's spelled FAQ. But do you contact families? As a rule, no. But if it's a cold case, because the truth of the matter is, I went back and remembered this. Truth of the matter is, Sharon did not contact me about April. I contacted her. But this was definitely a cold case. At the time I contacted her, I think we were 28, 29 years into really not still having any answers. And I think that, since then, in the last year or so, and this is because Sharon's pushed, the case has been reopened. Maybe we've learned some more things. We've got a clearer idea now of what may have happened and things of that nature. And I just think that if I can help somebody be a part of that, be it on a podcast or not, or maybe give somebody just an ounce of comfort or an ounce of, hey, keep going. What you're doing is good. Just keep going. Then this is all worth it. And that is perfectly okay with me. Rita writes, yes, they are more real than we know talking about the spirits. Yes, they are. Anybody that can't see that right now has turned a blind eye to it. You look at the shape that the world's in right now. People say, I can't believe this is happening. Oh, I can. How can you? Well, there's this little black book. It's called the Bible. Christ told us over 2,000 years ago, this is going to happen. If he says it, believe it. Period. End of discussion. He said these things were going to happen. They're happening. I'm not a religious and I'm not a political person. A podcast. This is not religious. This is talking about spiritualism. This is talking about, are the spirits real? Are demons real? Yep, I believe so. Are angels real? Yep, I believe so. I've encountered angels right here on this earth walking around in people form. I've always said that God will use you if you let him. Problem with it is right now a lot of people are seeking their own gratification. And don't get me wrong, I do too. Okay. I get a lot of gratification from seeing people or, hearing about people that know about the podcast. Not for myself. I don't give a damn if Allie voices this thing. That's fine. As long as the stories get out there. And as long as people like Octavia or like Mamie Thurman or like Meryl Baldridge or April Pennington or Tim Stambo, Dwayne Lovell, as long as they're remembered. That's the legacy of the Mountain Mysteries. That's what I want the legacy to be. And I've told several people, several times, the day this thing quits being about the people is the day I'll say, okay, forget it. No more. I'll shut it down. It's fine. It's because when you lose your heart, well, you lose a lot of other things too. And I'm not going to go down that route. I just, no. Truth is I love being in the studio. I can do audiobooks from now until Christmas. Some of you guys may have heard them. Some of you guys may not have. That's okay. There was a spell there where we went through the first several episodes and I was promoting the audiobooks. And yeah, I'll go back and promote some more, hopefully. Excuse me. But it's something that can be kind of fun to do, but my real heart is in the podcast. That's where it lies at when it's behind this microphone thing. That's what I love doing. And I love to see people wearing Mountain Mystery shirts. We're actually working on a local person or some local people now to come in and do photo shoots and kind of model our stuff. And the people that wears them. Speaking of which, I was going to ask the folks that already have the shirts to send me some pics. And what I'd like to do with your permission is put them on our Facebook page, the Mountain Mysteries Facebook page. I won't put them on my personal, but on the Mountain Mysteries Facebook page, just to show people, hey, these things are pretty good. They're quality. I had a whole family just get some. I mean, seriously, some for their kids, some for the husband, some for the wife. I thought that was, wow, that's pretty awesome. And they live nowhere around here. But the word's getting out. And when the word gets out, that means people at some point are probably going to listen. And you know what? I don't expect them to listen right off the bat. One of my very dear friends, Sharon, recently she works for a living. She earns her money. She goes to work every day. She texted me, she said, I finally got to listen to, I think it was the Mountain Mysteries of the Watcher, 657 Boulevard. And she seemed to enjoy it quite a bit. And as long as you listen when you can, I'm okay with that. That's why we're limiting our episodes to around 30, 35 minutes, because according to statistics, that's the median time drive. Some of them will not be limited to that. Some of them are going to be an hour, no matter how I do it. But it was like Lorraine Warren. Now, that thing would have been about an hour and 9 minutes, which isn't too long to release in once, but there was a lot of information there I wanted people to digest. And if I give it to you all at once, I'm sorry. It was In the Shadow. So that was the one with Lorraine Warren that Sharon said. Okay, that was the one with Lorraine Warren. A lot of people were really had a lot of respect for her, and I get it. I get why. The woman was incredibly brave, and her heart was in the right place. I think both of their hearts were in the right place. And she touched a lot of lives in a good way. Of course, you got your naysayers. Whenever you introduce money, and yes, I'm sure that Lorraine got paid for, her stories of that inspired Conjuring, the Amityville Horror, and all this and all that. I'm guessing she might have got a piece of the pie somewhere or another. But if I'm sorry, Sharon said that she always loved her and her husband Ed. Both great people, I'm sure. I wish I hadn't got to talk to Ed, but I'm telling you, she was nothing but a class A human being. She was a beautiful soul, a beautiful person, and so sweet and kind. I mean, I just felt like I was talking to a woman I'd known my whole life. And she just made me feel right at ease and right at home. You don't get that every day. But when you find, the things that she did, and you find somebody that's willing to come out and help you, it's like Stacy with 606 Paranormal. Stacy's never charged a soul for anything. And that was one of the questions I asked. How much do you all charge to do an episode on somebody? Nothing. There will be no charge for that. Okay. We use some of the Patreon funding to offset the cost of the traveling if I have to travel. And other than that, what I do, coming in here in the studio, putting everything together, writing the scripts and stuff, it's an honor for me to do that. And I'll tell you why it's an honor, because somebody trusted me enough to talk about their family and to bring their family into a public view. That carries a heavy responsibility, but it's one that I'm grateful to accept. Like I said, what we get from God is a gift from Him. What we do with it is a gift back to Him. I believe that. Some of the fan favorites so far, though, have been some of the shorter ones, like the Impact UFO CSX training incident. That was like 20 minutes because I couldn't find nobody, not Newfork, Move On, whatever they're called, to even talk to me about it. They were like, well, yeah, we'll get back with you on that one. I'm sitting there thinking, well, what the hell? Why not just do it right now? Tell me what you know. I can record this thing. I'll take 10 minutes of your time, 15 at most. Or I'll pull a Sharon on you and I'll take like 3 hours of your time. It's up to you, whatever you want. An interview is nothing more than a conversation between two people that are friends, in most cases. Nothing. So we wound up with about 20 minutes on that one, and it went through the roof. People loved it. A lot of people said, I'd never even heard of that before. Did that really happen? I said, apparently. Around 2001, 2002, I think it was. Seems like Eastern Kentucky is a hot spot for a lot of stuff like this. Somebody asked this morning, as a matter of fact, hey, you going to do one on Bigfoot? Bigfoot. I said, look, if somebody comes to me and say, I had an encounter, and if I'm with it, then we'll talk about it. Because as serious as the podcast is, especially when we talk about the passing of our loved ones, I also want it to be something that people want to listen to, something that people enjoy listening to. So, yeah, I'm all for doing that, but I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I talked to this fella named Joe Black and he saw, no, I'm not going to do that. The closest thing I thought that I might have had an encounter was tree knocking. That was when we were on a bike trip in Georgia a few years ago. And I don't even know, it could have been a couple of woodpeckers back there. Hell, I don't know. But I sure never saw nothing. And I never heard no growling. Never heard nothing like that. And I sure didn't hear, get out, because my ass would have been gone yesterday. That's the difference between me and these other people. You walk into a house, oh, I love what you've done with the house. It's so beautiful. The paint is so nice. Look at the new window shades. And I love how you did the pantry. Get out. Too bad we can't stay. No, I'm not staying there. No, I'm going to be calling Stacy. I'm going to call Sharon and say, y'all need to get yourselves over here and bring your ghost stuff because there's something going on in that place. But even Stacy, who is with 606 Paranormal, and Sharon both, have all said, or they've not said, I have learned from them. Know your limits. Am I qualified to go into what is a presented as a demonically haunted house? Hell no. First thing I would say is, look, if I can help you, I will. And who do I call? I call Stacy. I call Sharon. I say, hey, look. And then I go into, this is what I was told. What's your advice? And many times I'll just put them directly in contact with a person. Do we use them on episodes? Absolutely. Used the techniques and the information that was found through 606 Paranormal on episode 7, A Lake of Tears, about Dwayne Lovelace, because I was out there on that investigation. And I saw things that changes your perception. It's called a paradigm shift. Not much of one for me, because I always thought, yeah, I believe that there definitely is. Just, well, if I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, okay. I don't see air, but yet I know it's there. I don't see God. I know he's there. Don't see the devil. No, he's there. There's just seeing is just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. And when I listen to reputable people tell me things that obviously scares the daylights out of them, there's a reason they're scared. They either are haunted or they definitely believe they are. I recognize the difference between the two. That's why a lot of times many paranormal investigators may ask for a mental evaluation. It's not that they're trying to insult you. They just want to make sure this is not only for their investigative techniques and purposes, but it's also to help you. It's also to help the individuals. I don't know of a time that Stacy has ever said, well, yeah, I'll come down there, but it's going to cost you $75. So this ain't about the money for her. This is about helping people for the entire group. I'll never look at you or tell you, look, the only way I can come and do your story is for, $5,000. No. If I cannot feasibly travel to where you're at, well, guess what? We got this thing called computers. And I've got this little thing up here which can record us, strictly audio or audio and video. And then I can break that up and put the podcast together. Don't have to leave the house. I'm not going to charge anybody anything for this. When I ask for support from Patreon or whatever, or, like selling some stuff on the website, like the new t-shirts. Oh yeah, we do have the windbreakers too, Tony. Those things are wicked. But when we do that, that money that we make off that goes right back into this podcast to pay for what we're doing and keep the streamer thing that you're watching right now streaming, and pay for I've got one platform that sends it out to all the platforms. So I don't know if you understand that, but it's a hosting platform that sends it out to Apple. It sends it out to Google and Stitcher and Audible and all these other places. I tell it where to go and how to get there. Literally, I say, okay, I want you to go to Apple. Here is my RSS feed identification number. And it's like, oh, okay, sure, we can do that. I'm like, yeah. Okay. So, but that thing costs money too. So, but now the Apple and stuff like that, they don't charge me a thing for hosting, for having my podcast on there, not so much as a nickel. So I want to be very clear about that. Because if I've got a lot to get something, I don't want it. I just don't want it. So tonight, Octavia Hatcher, episode 12, and then we've got episode 13, The Village of the Damned. And like I said, that is going to be the first one that we actually turn loose that is going to be in stereo. And it really sounds pretty cool, but I'd like your guys' thoughts on it too. So, we do these things on Thursdays because I want them to be the best they can be. And I want to impart information in a way that may be helpful to you. And gosh knows, I really appreciate every one of you guys that watch us. I think our last one at the time of today had like 300 or 400 watches because, like I said, not everybody can watch live. That's the thing I love about Facebook, is that they go ahead and throw that up there when you're done. Plus, this streaming platform I use, which is called Restream, they actually put it up there also to where it's one of those things that are, they save it for, I think, 14 days. in case I want to go back and put it somewhere else. So yeah, it beats the daylights out of the last ones that I had. So again, tonight, Octavia, and don't forget our website, which is the Mountain Mysteries Podcast.com. Again, it shows up there. So with that being said, I hope that you guys have a great weekend, and let's remember the reason for Memorial Day. You know, I read a really great thing about that today that somebody had shared. And it said, let's get this straight. Veterans Day are for people that are currently serving in the uniform. Labor Day are for, that's for the people that bust their butt year round to actually have an extra day off, which is really nice. Memorial Day is about those who served in the uniform and never made it out of it. Well, I also incorporate the people that we lost. My dad was a veteran, honorably discharged, served with honor, Vietnam. My mom, however, well, when she passed 33 days later, dad had passed. And when I talked through my aunt, Tammy, when I talked to her in Florida about having the military service and the being put to rest in a military cemetery, I told the lady with the Department of Defense, I said, well, Dad was a veteran, Mom wasn't. She said, oh, yes, she was. She was married to him. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. The way that our military thinks about these families. I just thought it was great. So that's how my mom and dad got to be laid to rest together. United States Department of the Army, for which I'm eternally grateful. I have taken up almost an hour of your guys' time, but it's like getting together and talking with friends. It always is. So I really appreciate you. I love you guys. I wish you all of God's blessings for health, happiness, and your entire family's safety. And I just hope that you have a wonderful Memorial Day. Be safe. And don't forget to check out our website. Remember, tonight it's episode 12, Buried Alive, the Mountain Mystery of Octavia Hatcher. And until the next time that we get together, and well, I'll probably be next Thursday, I'm Chris Sloan for the Mountain Mysteries Blurs, and the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. As always, stay mysterious.
From one coast to the other, mysteries are everywhere, and we will continue to pursue the answers to those questions and more. Please share, like, and rate the Mountain Mysteries podcast, and tell your friends to tune in on Facebook or YouTube. The Mountain Mysteries gatherings are each Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to support the Mountain Mysteries search and help these families, join us on Patreon, or you can make a one-time donation as well. The Mountain Mysteries and the Mountain Mysteries gatherings are property of the Pantry Studios and Chris Sloan, who writes and produces the content. If you would like to reach out to the Mountain Mysteries, please email us at pantrystudio@yahoo.com. Until next time, my friends, stay mysterious.
Pantry Studio production.